They say it's like zero waste is only for those who are privileged enough to buy those items and continue this lifestyle. However, I refer back to like the iPhone days when it first came out. It was super expensive and not everyone could afford it, but with demand comes supply. So I think, one day people will transition to using better, more sustainable products. And another thing about these products is not only is it sustainable in the way that it was made, but it's also better for you, made with better ingredients or made with non-toxic chemicals or whatever. And I think people will slowly get there.
Welcome back to another episode of the Kurative Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Sutarji, and my guest today is Van Nguyen. From blogging to Instagram to podcasts, Van provides her audience tips and tricks to easily live a more sustainable lifestyle, using less waste. This is something I struggle with, and it definitely seems like a hassle and expensive way to live. But listen in on the episode and see what the true benefits are to live more sustainably. Enjoy the show. Hello everyone. Before we get to the episode, I just wanted to say thank you for everyone who is watching the podcast on YouTube and listening to the episodes on all the podcast apps. There are many other ways to support the podcast. A few are to rate and write a review on iTunes. If you got value from the episode, you can share it with a friend, and you can email me at hello@kevinsutarji.com and tell me your story about which episode resonated with you. Also, when I announce my guest for the episode on Instagram and ask for questions, you can DM me your question for my guest. Lastly, you can subscribe and be part of the notification squad by opting in on getting notified on YouTube or any podcast app whenever a new episode is released. Thank you and enjoy the show. So thank you, Van, for coming to my podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
I've seen your Instagram. I have followed you for quite some time now, and I definitely don't follow the zero waste lifestyle, but I was wondering like how you got into zero waste and like, what got you interested?
I think I've always sort of been conscious, but not to this extent. I've always kind of like adjusted my life to what I thought was a good medium. And then one day I thought, I need to do something more with my life than what I'm currently doing. And I need to have a passion. Everyone has a passion, right?
Sure.
And I kind of honed down what was the one thing that makes me me. And then I was like, I'm going to start an Instagram and kind of a lifestyle to hold me accountable to be better.
Okay.
Right? Because I can't just say, oh yeah, I'm eco-friendly. Hey, but it's more like, what else can I do in this space? Right?
For sure.
Yeah.
And for the audience that don't know you, why don't you talk about what your Instagram handle is and, what you do with your Instagram?
Sure.
And everything else.
Yeah.
Because I know you do more than just Instagram.
Yeah. So I would frame it as, so Embrace Less Waste is a lifestyle brand that would help you learn different ways to be more sustainable, right? And I think Instagram is super powerful, so I kind of shifted my strategy to do mostly Instagram, but I do have a website in which I blog about all these different recipes, like DIY recipes that you could replace your current whatever household product that you have, or like 5 simple ways of, I can't even think of it because I haven't written a blog in so long.
Yeah.
But
probably too busy recently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you don't get paid for it, it's really hard.
Yes, for sure. This is what I'm doing now and I'm not getting paid for it. So I get you.
But yeah, it's just to help motivate people in any way possible, to whatever degree that makes them comfortable, to do a little better for the planet. There's so much going on in the world globally and politically that I think this would just give people a little dose of that freedom or that feeling of just being a good human, and sometimes you need that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there something in particular that really sparked your interest into just, wasting less and, reusing items like water bottles and bags? I've seen on your Instagram that you have like travel bags and stuff for snacks.
Yeah.
Like anything that really sparked your interest that you remember?
Well, what sparked the whole Embrace Less Waste is actually my friend Kristen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So not just like one particular like product, but her and I, we've been kind of talking and brainstorming about different ways in which we can make it larger than life, right?
Okay.
And we decided to just start little and start small and kind of do it this way first to see if there's any interest, right? And then that's when I got into kind of the household products, and because sometimes that is the easiest way to get in, right?
Right. So I noticed that, like, you know, you have a lot of items that you use to reuse. And, you know, for me, I think, okay, it's much easier to just get Ziploc bags and then use it once, throw it away.
Yep.
You know, for water bottles, I just get a water bottle. I don't have to worry about, where did I lose it? You know, like, where did I keep it? Whatever. And, you know, what would you tell people to say, okay, this is actually more worth it. This is actually not that hard to do, to reuse items, to, you know, clean it, to keep track of it and all of that. What would you say to those people? Me, actually. So,
I mean, at the end of the day, you'll be spending less money, and I think that's a goal for everyone.
True.
I mean, I would think.
Yeah, for sure.
But it does take a little bit more work, but it's all in creating a habit or a routine, right? I mean, it wasn't always easy for me to remember to bring my water bottle, but that one was kind of just, it progressed, and now I think everyone I know at least always has a reusable water bottle.
Right.
But yeah, I think my advice for people is to just get into the habit of it, and it'll be so much easier. Yeah.
And so starting from Instagram to, you know, creating a website, and I saw you have affiliate links.
I do.
For certain items.
Yeah.
How did you get into that? And how did you find those particular items? Did you do a lot of research, or did you talk to anyone?
I think it was the community on Instagram that helped me learn about different brands. And yeah, I did do a lot of research myself, and so I started Embrace Less Waste in November, and I had this plan, I had this roadmap and this strategy, like I gotta hit these milestones. And so yeah, I did aggressively. I reached out to a lot of brands, and surprisingly, they're up for sending you a lot of things so you can advocate for them, right?
True.
And I only advocate for brands that I like.
Yeah.
Even though I get all these other ones, and it's because I don't want to. I mean, a lot of people can fall into that if you are an Instagram influencer. So that was one of my key points in not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you kind of learn that later on, where there are too many items to really quote unquote advocate for?
Yes.
And then you're like, wait, I don't really believe in this one, or this is not as good as I thought.
Yes.
How did that process go? Because as someone that's starting out, they might take in every single item that every company is sending them, or they might take any sponsorship depending on how popular they are. What did you do to figure out which one you really liked, which one you didn't like, and how did you pick and choose?
Yeah, I think what I learned was I needed to do more research on that product and that brand, because one mistake I made, I was getting into soap. I know this is I know it's such a minor thing to talk about, but I switched my shampoo, liquid shampoo, to bar shampoo, right? So I was getting into all these different types of soaps, and people were sending it to me for free. And then one soap came, and I realized it's from Europe. For this one bar of soap that probably costs, I don't know, up to $3, but the emissions that it took to get to me, or the cost of the cost of flying that thing over and transporting it, was more than the cost of the product.
True.
That made no sense. Okay. And that wasn't sustainable, right? And so I think I need to be better at vetting the things that come my way. Yeah. And
when you try to use these products, sometimes would you say that they're more expensive than a typical cheaper brand?
Absolutely.
That's not as sustainable?
Yeah, I think that's one big criticism in the sustainability community, is that a lot of these items are for the privileged. That's what they say. It's zero waste is only for those who are privileged enough to buy those items and continue this lifestyle, which
right.
I agree with that perspective. However, at the end of the day, it's up to you to make the choices in your life, right? do you want to buy a Mercedes or a Prius? You know, like it's really up to you, right?
It's sometimes more expensive to buy
Yes.
certain products. Like the way, I mean, I definitely agree. Is kind of is meant for the privilege to take advantage of.
Yeah.
Even though we're trying to save money, right? Like it's kind of like, oh, I can't afford it, but I really want to save money.
Yep.
When I think of that, I think of like organic foods, right? And like organic food used to be, you know, more expensive than non-organic because it's probably cheaper to not worry about pesticides and stuff like that, right? Where organic food, they have to do a lot more work to really bring the vegetable or the produce back to the consumer. But I think there's that movement that organic foods got really popular, and now at Trader Joe's, at least, I'm seeing that organic foods versus non-organic is like $1 difference at most, sometimes even 50 cents. And so I'm just buying organic now. And I mean, that's probably hopefully the movement that people want to go towards, is like sustainable products, things that are more reusable and stuff like that, is as cheap or, you know, affordable for everyday people.
Yeah. No, you're onto something. Whenever people ask me this question, I just think, or I refer back to like the iPhone days when it first came out.
Right.
It was super expensive and not everyone could afford it, but with demand comes supply, right?
Yeah.
So I think, one day, and it's probably going to be soon, people will transition to using better, more sustainable products, right? And another thing about these products is not only is it sustainable in the way that it was made, but it's also better for you,
right?
Made with better ingredients or made with non-toxic chemicals or whatever. So there's two benefits, and I think people will slowly get there.
Yeah. And have you heard like the difference? I'm sure you've heard about it, but did you really look into like fast fashion versus, you know, slow fashion? And because like when I was recently trying to do a wardrobe refresh, and I was looking at, what do men wear nowadays? What brands do they look at? You know, where do they buy from? And, you know, there's the cheap version, which is like Uniqlo. And there's brands like Ask It. Ask It, like, you know, a t-shirt is like $45, which is expensive, but they really talk about like, the sustainability of how they made it, you know, how much time they put into it, and it's not like super cheap, you know, material. The quality is great, and it's more sustainable that way. And so I was like, okay, you know, I'm gonna try Uniqlo and Ask It, and I bought both, and now I'm gonna test it out. But I think that's one thing that a lot of people are trying to get into as well, because a lot of people are talking about slow fashion, you know, was it capsule wardrobes and stuff like that. Yeah. Have you looked into fashion and like how to keep it sustainable as well?
Absolutely. I think that was one of the areas that I wanted to focus in on, because to me it seemed a lot easier than trying to eliminate plastic from my life. Like, of course I do, to some degree, but I think fashion in general, it's also a stronger argument. Like for me, it's like, okay, if I spend, I don't know, twice the amount of a Forever 21 t-shirt, I can probably have it for twice the amount of time, right, or longer, right?
Ideally, at least.
Right. And so that was probably one of the easier areas for me to adjust my life to.
So then did you slowly get into this sustainable lifestyle, you know, from when you started to now, or was it kind of more abrupt where you started buying everything and then just like, okay, done?
I think it was super abrupt, but I don't think I'm done.
It's an ongoing process.
It's an ongoing process. Yeah. And like once you have other life events, like let's say, for example, I got a puppy recently.
Oh, right.
And that just set me back on the zero waste scale by like, I don't know, 50%, right? Or when you have a baby, right? Or when you move into a house and you renovate or whatever, those drastic life changes will make you reevaluate, like, what does zero waste mean in that life transition or life period. Yeah.
And where would you say is the best resource for people to look it up? Is it like, in your experience, is it through YouTube, through blogs, through specific brands, like basically education? Like I feel like there's a lot of articles talking about sustainability, but I just feel like there's just information overload. And so in your experience, like where did you learn all the sustainable lifestyles and the different brands?
Yeah. I think I did a little bit of both. I read a lot of articles as well as blogs because I'm a blogger. And I'm huge on YouTube. And I'm a visual learner, so I think I did a bit of both, but I agree with you. There's so much information out there. And as inclusive as the sustainable community is, there's also a lot of like any type of topic, there's some conflict, right? And so you just have to find the right space for you. Yeah.
And what would you say is the hardest part about living a sustainable zero waste life?
I think it's the guilt.
Okay.
If I'm not perfect or as perfect as I want to be, the guilt just eats me up.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I mean, this isn't the hardest part, but it is not the best part. Like sometimes my friends would, point out like, hey, those are Lysol wipes you're using. That's not sustainable. I'm like,
wow, they're
what
calling
about
you out?
the metal straws that I carry in my bag all the time? Or what about, I get it. Like, we're not going to be perfect, right?
Yeah,
so any step matters. Every step matters.
Yeah. So then, I mean, it's just all about being conscious about what you're using, how you're using it, where it's going. I know I was listening to your podcast episode with Kevin, and you talked about recycling, and recycling was not the best thing to do for certain materials. Like, could you talk more about like, okay, for people who just want to start out, recycling is one thing, is that something that they should still do, or what should they do?
Yeah. If you're looking to be more eco-conscious, I don't know if recycling would be the first like step that you take because it's pretty complicated. And it's very regional. Like wherever you live, there are different rules. Like, we're in Fremont now, so there are different rules than there are in Mountain View and in San Francisco, right? And so you have to be pretty good at memorizing those rules as you're recycling.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay.
So I mean, there are tons of articles out there that talks about how if you don't, like, let's say you have like a piece of material and you don't know exactly where it goes in those bins, and then you just guess like, I think it goes in here, and you just put it in there, you just like ruin that entire batch.
Really?
Yeah.
They don't pick it out or anything?
I mean, depending on the facility, but majority of the time it's really tough because there's tons and tons of trash or recycling or whatever it may be that goes into that facility. So the best thing to do if you're confused about that material is to just toss it in the landfill.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't say that recycling is the first thing that you should do.
Yeah.
There are easier things that you can do.
Because that's what I asked this question because like there are a lot of misconceptions about recycling, and I definitely I've watched videos, I've read articles about how recycling is good, blah blah blah, but what other misconceptions do people have about living a sustainable life that you think people should know about? Because I feel like people are just acting on wrong information sometimes.
Yeah, I think the ultimate answer is global warming. I don't like it's a very controversial topic. Some people believe in it, some don't, and depending on which side you're on, that will dictate how you live, right? So it doesn't really matter if you avoid plastic or if you drive an electric car. Like, you really need to believe that this is happening, and you need to find every way you can to like help. I think that will kind of direct you in the right direction. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. And what would you say can most people do to kind of help prevent that, or at least delay it? Because I think we're saying that it's pretty much inevitable, but we should try to slow it down. I mean, can we reverse it? I don't know, but
yeah, that's a tough one. I wish I knew the answer. And sometimes people, of course, when I refer to people, it's like people on the internet. They talk about how, using metal straws isn't going to stop global warming, or driving a Prius. It's like, yes, it will. It can slow it down. It can help. So I don't know why people are being very, very negative about it.
Right. I think the way I see it, I mean, it goes with like eating healthy, like everything like that is, you know, if people are doing it, you're setting an example, then a lot of people will follow. And I think education is one of the biggest things that is important. And like when it comes to politics, there's obviously different types of information from different sides. But I think, you know, if we focus on education and allowing people to figure out ways, you know, easy ways to do something sustainable, I think is like the best way to do it. Yeah. So talk, if you can talk more about your blog, like, you know, how did you come up with ideas? What do you write about?
How did I come up with ideas? I think I always thought of what would I want to know? Or what would my friend in this community want to know? For example, what would my friend who lives in a city that doesn't recycle wants to know? Right. Like, how could they be more conscious in that type of space, right? So that was where I got my inspiration. And I really had to be in the mood, like a creative mood to execute, because if I didn't, I could feel it in the first like 10 minutes. I'm like, you know what? I'm just not going to waste my time, because it's not going to result in a beautiful product that I'd be proud of. Yeah.
Writing is very difficult. Like I can't write for shit. So I'm like terrible writer. And even when I try to start something, you know, within 10 minutes or even 5 minutes, I'm just like, I can't do this. Yeah. I have to express myself in a different way. Yep. And so, you know, this is why I do video as like, it's one medium that I know that I enjoy and I think I can do better in versus writing. Yeah. Is there like another way that you think that you're trying to get into potentially, or is blogging really your blogging and maybe photos? Because you take a lot of great photos on Instagram.
Thanks. So, you know, the funny thing is I tried to do video. I tried to like, really? Okay, I'm going to like start a YouTube channel. Right. Right. And I have like maybe 100 clips of the same thing because I just kept messing up. I felt so unnatural. I got really stressed out. I know how you feel. Yeah. And so I could not explore that avenue anymore. And it was taking, I didn't even do it, but it was taking a lot of my time. Right. Yeah. And so I thought, okay, if I do pursue this way of sharing my community, it's going to take too much time and I'll have to quit my job. And the last thing I want is for me to lose my passion and embrace less waste because of some external factor, like not getting enough subscribers or like not being the top 10 YouTuber in this community, you know? Yeah. So I felt like, you know, where I am right now is where I'm happy with, and where it progresses is where it should go, right? Like, I just think everything will be fine in the end.
Yeah, I don't think anyone should focus on like follows, likes, and stuff like that. That gets dangerous.
It does. It totally does. Yeah.
Like I don't know about you, but you know, when I first started out my Instagram, I like got 50 likes. I'm just like, oh, you know, so great. This is so great. And then, you know, my next post, I might gain more and more and then hit 100. But then like one day I have another post and it's just like 50. I'm like, what the hell? Like,
what did I do?
I know. Why isn't this doing well? And then I forget that like I was happy at 50 likes. So why am I not happy anymore? Yeah. You know, so sometimes I don't look at likes anymore, or, you know, I just, especially with YouTube, I like release videos every week, and sometimes they do well, sometimes they don't. And like, it's, you know, it's dangerous when you really care about those. Yeah. So then when you do posts and you do pictures and stuff, like how much time do you take doing those now?
So it's really funny, but I haven't posted in probably a month.
Okay.
But before that, because I got a puppy, so I got really busy. But anyway, before that, it took me a long time to post. And when people would ask me the same question, I told them, like, it takes a long time. They're like, why? Why don't you just have an app and get things ready and all of that? It doesn't work that way, because hashtags they're like trendy and they're powerful. So you can't just put a blanket one over every post that you have. Right. And like I said earlier, you have to be in the creative mode to like do it, because if you're not, again, it's going to result in something that you're not proud of. Right. Yeah. So I would say it takes a lot of time.
Every time I do a video, even just take a photo, I'm just like, oh, I don't know if this is right, and then like comment the caption.
Goodness.
Yeah, it's crazy. So how has social media really helped you, I guess, reach out to other people and educate other people?
Yeah, you know what's crazy? That's one thing that I really enjoyed about Embrace Less Waste. It was through the just random strangers that I met on. I know that sounds super strange, but
I mean, people nowadays, they use meetup.com, all of this, so it's fine.
Yeah. We would just be, sharing our opinions about certain things that we saw, or if there are other influencers, we would have each other's back. Like there would be a lot of people, other accounts that may quote unquote steal your content and not credit you, right?
Oh, really?
And so we all have each other's back, which is really cool. Like some people did it for me and I did it for other people.
Yeah.
But that's, anyway, I think, the support system was really awesome. That was one, I think, great thing about social media.
Yeah. It's bringing people together in person, right? And I talked about this with some of my other guests. They use like SoundCloud or social media like Instagram to really connect with people initially, and then they collaborate together, meet each other in person stuff. So I really like that about social media.
Through like direct message, it's mostly discussing our opinion about something we saw or heard or on the news, and sharing ideas. I think there's a lot of validation that comes from it too, because people tell me, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. Oh my gosh, you changed my life. Oh my gosh, I love this product. Or I don't do X anymore because of you. Like that's super rewarding.
That's true. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. So I think it's really positive, whatever we do talk about. Besides the like criticism within the community, but for the most part, I think there's a lot of alignment there.
Yeah, that's cool. I think, like, have you ever thought about hosting meetups to kind of educate maybe even just your friends or anything like that?
Yeah, I did think about it, and I myself and another sustainable blogger, influencer, we were trying to put something together in the Bay Area and do kind of like a panel and a workshop and things like that. But life got so busy that
it's a lot of work. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is a lot of work because ideally I would want to offer that almost for free, right? Because that's how you kind of reel people in and gain their interest. And it's because our audience isn't the current zero waste community. Our audience are those that are interested but don't know how to enter, essentially, right? And so like you don't want them to like pay for something, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that was the biggest concern that we had. So that set us back a bit.
So you're talking about how you were getting busy with your dog. How does it feel like, or how's it balancing like all of this? Because I know you said you haven't posted in a month, but what are your plans to kind of get back into it, as well as taking care of your dog and your full-time job?
Okay, it goes back to guilt, because ever since I got my puppy, I was thinking about all these ways to be zero waste with a puppy, and it's so tough. Yeah. So every time I'm using a poop bag, I think, oh my God, I'm not Embrace Less Waste right now, Or in the beginning, he was using pee pads, and it like, I was having a lot of conflict in my brain. So I think I need to get over that. Again, I think it's, a balance, right? I can't be perfect all the time. And so I need to get over that, get over the hump, and just post something. Yeah. And get back out there.
I mean, you're learning a lot as you go, probably. You're like trying to figure out ways to be more sustainable with this and stuff like that. Yeah.
And the sustainable way might not always be the best solution for your situation. So that was another thing that I learned, because I was, particularly for my pup, I felt like I was like putting him in an inconvenient situation because I really wanted it to be zero waste.
Oh, right? Interesting.
And so I like gave up on that. And I think it's getting over that guilt.
Right. So what was it about trying to be more sustainable that made it more difficult for your pup?
It was the whole pee pad situation. I wanted to buy this grass pad, and you can just throw it in the laundry and reuse it multiple times, right? But that's not possible, especially if like you only have one grass pad, right? And he can pee or poo on it, and like, would you really throw that thing in your laundry?
Probably not.
Yeah.
And not if I want to put my clothes in there too.
Yeah, right.
Like
and so, yeah, exactly. It just didn't work, right? And I had to accept that I was going to be this wasteful person.
Yeah. Oh man, you're so hard on yourself.
Yeah, I think I need to get over that, and then I'll be okay to be proud of being embraced less ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you kind of look back, what was like the first thing that you did that really got you started into embracing less waste? Like, what did you buy? So, like I told you before, I'm moving soon. Before I move in, I'm probably going to think about, okay, I need to buy, Ziploc bags, all of these things, soap, all of that.
Yeah.
What should I consider when I'm going to, I don't know if it's Target or maybe buying online.
Yeah. Target does have a lot of sustainable options. It's just that they have non-sustainable options right next to it. So then if you look at a price tag of $20 versus $10,
Yeah, that's so difficult.
Yeah. So at least for your situation that you just mentioned, I'll give you a link to this really awesome shop that's only in New York right now, but they have an online platform that you can buy, and it'll ship to you. But I think that was the first step for me, like converting most of my household items into being more eco-friendly items, because I was always cooking. I don't know about you, but I spend a lot of time at home.
Yeah, I do.
And from things like Ziploc bags, like you said, to hand soap. Like, do you buy that in plastic or do you buy that in bulk, right? Like, there's quite a lot to think about once you decide that you're going to be more eco-conscious.
Yeah. So when you're buying food, then I noticed that you buy in bulk, but there are some items, or maybe even majority of the items that you might want to buy that are not sustainable. Like, they come in plastic bags already, and you can't really do anything about it. How do you go about, maybe salad packs or anything like that that's already packaged?
So for a while, I avoided all of that because I was really aggressive.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to be perfect. Or if I'm not going to find this in the bulk section, I'm just not going to eat it. But I took a step back and I was like, I'm not really living my life, right? I'm missing, dark chocolate covered almonds or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's, I don't know why our conversation's all around guilt, but I think it's like, letting yourself live a little bit.
Yeah.
And forgiving yourself, because I think it's not our fault that these things aren't offered to us in a better way, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of analytics around, how a consumer walks around a store, and what they see, what they touch is what they would most likely buy, right? So if you enter a store like the one I'm going to share with you, actually it's called packagefree.com.
Oh yeah.
Package Free Shop. Yeah.
I'll send the link on the description and stuff.
Yeah, but that store in New York, they only have sustainable items. So as you walk around, that's what you're feeling, that's what you're touching, that's what you're going to leave with.
Okay.
So if you go to Target and you're touching and feeling all these things, you'll most likely leave with something that's more convenient for you, right?
That's true.
So, yeah.
What about travel? Because traveling, in other countries, they might be more wasteful. I don't know if most countries are more sustainable than us, but traveling, it kind of, in my opinion, when I go to like Southeast Asian countries, there's a lot of trash.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I don't know if you've been there recently while you were, going through the sustainability path, but like, how did you handle that?
Yeah, I haven't gone international since I started Embrace Less Waste, but I have just traveled domestically. And from the time you go through the TSA gates, right, onto the plane and then to your destination, there is a lot of waste. So I do have a blog post on how you can reduce your waste in the, I guess, beginning stages of traveling. But I think it's tough, especially in other countries, especially Asia, because everything is cheap for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Because they just use plastic everything, right? Or single-use everything, which is fine. But And you made a comment that you're not sure about how other countries, if they're more sustainable or not.
Right.
Surprisingly, majority of the world, I would say like Europe mostly. Yeah, I would say just mostly Europe. Everywhere else sucks. But Europe is really awesome. I wish I could live in the Netherlands or something because they have, their government really cares about it. So the people care about it.
Yeah.
It's different. We don't care about it as much as we say we do.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, traveling is a tough one. I don't have a solution for people.
Yeah.
I would just say try your best.
I feel like the corporations, corporations in the United States, they really, or in my opinion, they seem to not really focus on that. And even like nutrition and stuff like that is all about convenience.
And profitability.
Profitability, yeah. So I think what is that mindset that like we need to, how do we change that mindset? Because at least for convenience, right? As a consumer, like this is more convenient and stuff like that. Do you have any ideas of how to make sustainability more convenient for the consumers? I know this is a question that like is pretty big, but like I guess a lot of people are still gonna be skeptical. Like this is just easier to like just use and throw it away.
Right. I think I'll go back to what I said earlier about how once you realize that those sustainable products are better for you, you'll make the right decision. Maybe when you have kids, you realize, why am I using this plastic bottle to put their hot milk in?
Yeah, that's true. If people do that, that's very dangerous.
Yeah,
I feel like
people do that.
Really?
Yeah. Because when you think of babies or toddlers and you give them a bottle that you want them to hold eventually, it's going to be plastic, so it's lighter.
Oh, that's true.
Right? But you'll heat the milk in there. So there's actually a lot of
microwave it in the bottle.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
man.
I think, like I said, people will get it. It's just you need to be, I don't know how to be any more or less cliche, but like you need to be more conscious about what you're putting into your body. And your family's health and body too. So we will get there. I have full trust that we will get there.
Yeah. So how do you educate your friends then? Because maybe you're the one that's most conscious about sustainability, but maybe some of your friends are not. How did you educate? And I don't know if you're really convincing, but how did you get people on board, especially your friends, to sustainability?
Yeah, the great thing about my friends are they're so supportive, whether they understand it or not. And so, when I was really active and I was posting stories, they listened, right? And so I could see it when I enter their house, that they've made little changes to their house. One being, a few of my friends, they changed or they eliminated napkins, like paper napkins, one-time single-use paper napkins, and they now have cloth napkins. Wow. Right? One of my friends, she has a bidet now. And she, of course, still has toilet paper for people, but I mean, it's an option, right? You either can use this really luxurious, sustainable option or toilet paper, right? But at least it's a step, right? Also, I have a few friends who are bringing straws around, and everyone now has a water bottle. I don't, like I said, I don't know if I know anyone who doesn't bring a reusable water bottle around. Yeah. So I think, everyone's slowly getting it. I think it just, whatever fits best for your situation. Yeah.
So did you talk to them about it beforehand, or did they just kind of follow you and realize, oh, Van is really conscious about this, I should be too?
No, I don't. I try not to talk about it a lot, because then I don't want to put others down because they're not doing whatever I'm doing, right? And so it's more of like you want them to learn by just showing them. So I don't really like to tell them like, hey, you should be doing XYZ. Like, people do not feel like influenced in that way. If you want to be an influencer, you have to find the right framework to influence people. And I don't think I don't think that that's how I like to do it.
Right.
I may talk about certain things that I'm working on with Embrace Less Waste, like certain products that I found really cool, and I'll be like, hey, you know, I tried this, right? But I would never tell them like, oh, you need to start carrying, you know, a water bottle, a reusable water bottle around, or you need to all have Teslas.
Yeah,
Right?
that'd be hard to do for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, I try not to talk about it so much. They ask me a lot of questions though. So,
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I think it's more of like, I'm here, and if you want to talk, let's talk about it, but I won't bring it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like educating in the right platform, the right way is very important. And I really think that personal experience, like sharing your personal experience, is like one of the best ways, because you're not telling people what to do. You're not saying, hey, this is the best way to do it. You're trying it yourself, and like, oh, in my experience, I really like this. This really made my life easier.
Yes.
It wasn't that hard to, you know, be more sustainable this way. And because they know you as a person, you're basically influencing them through your personality,
Exactly.
through your stories and all of that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
How long did you start your blog for?
Last November I started it. Yeah.
Okay. And do you feel like it's easy to write a lot about sustainability, like explaining it in words, or is it more of like pictures or stuff like that?
I think it's both. I guess it depends on the type of audience too. But yeah, I think for me it's really important to get the right photo as well as the right caption to get people to think a certain way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason I ask is because like when I talk about, so I'm really interested in like personal development and living more sustainable. Yeah. Living more sustainable is definitely like something that I'm trying to get towards.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, at least for me, doing like a more visual explanation of like how my story is with, you know, using this product or doing this XYZ, I feel like that really helps, because people can visually see like you doing it or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like Instagram and videos for me really helps.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And so, you know, maybe if you need help with the video stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you take all your photos?
I do. Yeah.
Did you learn like on your own, or did you like, were you always into photography?
I don't know if I was into photography, but I knew what I wanted in the frame.
Okay. No, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to really think about much as long as it's in the frame.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. And I guess, what do most people not know about when you're throughout your whole journey? Like, you know, what have you gone through that most people might not think you went through?
Whoa. That is... Whoa, okay. Let me think about that. I think it's the like social media, I don't know if I should call it trauma, but you know, learning that it's very dangerous, right? And it's a choice that you have to make if you want to go this route. There was a point where I wanted to, I mean, it was just a thought, but I wanted to like quit my job and do this full time and start a business, maybe in consulting other businesses to be more sustainable, whether it is your local Thai restaurant or a beauty skincare line or whatever it may be.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a point where I wanted to kind of like destroy what I had in terms of my life and like start all over and just pursue this passion, right? So I don't know if a lot of people think know that about my journey, because I didn't really share it because it was just a thought. But
right.
But I think it's powerful in the sense of, you know, once you find something that you're good at or you're really passionate about, like that's where your passion can take you. It can take you to that thought of like, I'm just going to change literally everything in my life,
right,
and risk every single thing.
Yeah, I mean, is that something that you might consider later, or? Yeah,
you know, I didn't say like absolutely no to that thought. I just think like, for the most part, I'm a pretty risk averse type of person. So yeah, I think that's later down the road, like when I'm more established, or I can finally buy a house, or something where I can start my own business and feel good about it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Would you say that money is probably like an issue, like risking, your full-time job and then not making a lot of money or enough to, I guess, live in the Bay Area, because it's so expensive here, right?
Yeah. It definitely is. That's why I applaud all of the entrepreneurs that, pursue that route. But for me, I feel like it'd be really tough to like put a lot of pressure on my parents or my partner, or be that friend that just like can't do anything.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
But people do make sacrifices for what they believe is the right thing to do, right? And so I think once I get into that mind space, like I feel like, okay, I'm good and I can pursue this, then I will.
Yeah.
But at the time I didn't feel that.
Yeah, I guess when you know.
Yeah.
And I do that too. Like I'm working full-time software engineer, and I'm doing this video like as a hobby, but it's like a second job.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Embrace Less Waste is a second job to you.
Yeah.
Doing software engineering is how it funds my hobby.
Exactly.
Like I said, I'm going negative every time. Every time I buy something, I'm going to an event or something, I'm pretty much going negative.
Yeah.
So it's really tough for me to make that leap as well.
Yeah.
And I think like for me, it's just, what do I have to change in my hobby to make it more of a business? And I haven't really thought that through. I think, and I'm not sure. Seems like you did with like the consulting and stuff, but I personally haven't figured out like, okay, even if I were to do this full time, like I'm probably not going to make any money for like months, because it's just like trying to build that, like build a portfolio, reputation, and like trying to then make money, sales. Exactly. So I'm just like, man, I think I'm going to stick with my full-time job for now. Yeah, for sure. I think you're going somewhere though. Like I can see like the things that you're doing is really good, and a lot of people need to know more about it and be educated. So I'm glad that you're doing this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So I think this is perfect time to go to Instagram questions.
Okay.
I asked a few people a while ago, like, because we scheduled this a while back, but we had to reschedule. So these are kind of old questions, but I think they're still relevant.
Sure.
We'll start with Kristen Nguyen. She says, switching to low waste seems to be more costly than not changing. Oh, you already answered this. Okay. Shout out to Kristen. Ben already answered your question, but is there anything else that you want to say for people that are trying to start out living more sustainable? Sorry.
Yeah. Besides all the products that I talk about, I think some ways that are easier is reducing your meat consumption. Once you switch to mostly not a full vegetarian diet, but once you stop eating packaged meats, packaged seafood, packaged everything, that's like eliminating a lot of plastic or waste, single
that's
use.
True.
So that's one way I would tell people more about. Yeah.
How much did you reduce your meat consumption?
Well, I was like a vegetarian for like 2 months. And I was like, okay, this is feeling great, but I really miss Chick-fil-A. So,
yeah.
So I think I found a balance. Again, it goes back to balance. Yeah.
Yeah, and you shouldn't just like do it all at once, because you're gonna kind of miss a lot of the meat and everything else. So makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Next question is from Karinagram. What should I do with non-eco-friendly items I already have at home, like cling wrap or Ziploc bags or anything like that?
Yeah. Don't throw it away, because that's being wasteful.
Okay.
So definitely use it all up and reuse if you can. And then throw it away. That's the best option. And then once you're done, transition to a sustainable product, right? But I think the key here is don't just go through your kitchen like, oh, this is bad, and throw everything away.
Right.
That's not the way to go. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
That's a great question.
Yeah. That's something that I think people are just like, yeah, I'm just gonna throw it away so I can buy new stuff, right?
Yeah.
They don't care too much about the old items. So makes sense. Then the last one is from M Domin. What's the hardest thing you do behind the scenes that no one knows about?
Wash my metal straw.
Oh, yeah.
Or wash all my cutlery.
That seems annoying. The metal straw.
It is. But I on my backpack, I have this pocket that I put in like a spoon, a fork, chopsticks, and a metal straw, right? And so every time I use it, I have to wash it, but I have to remember to wash it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not like the hardest thing, but that's literally the first thing that came to my mind.
But I mean, sometimes like you're traveling, you use it once, and then
Yeah.
like you need to use it again. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, wait, it's dirty.
Yeah.
Like, what happens then?
Yeah.
You know, I think like for metal straws, I feel like it's just annoying to like having to clean it, and then I don't know if does it smell too easily?
I'm pretty good with it in terms of cleaning it, so
Okay.
it's fine. Yeah. I should be more serious answering that question. I think the hardest part
No,
is...
I mean that's a pretty. I think it's difficult. It's annoying.
Yeah, it
for sure.
is. But I think the hardest part is making that transition and sticking with it. So whether it be carrying a cutlery set with me, or a metal straw, or a reusable cup. I used to do that. I mean, I still do when I get boba or coffee.
Wow.
I would bring it to the shop and be like, can you refill it, right?
Oh, cool.
And the first few times at the first few shops, they're like, what do you want me to do? It's very they're like, but the amount that I'm going to put in there is more than the amount or less, and I'm like, I don't care, just use my cup.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's uncomfortable sometimes, and you might not get it right, but once you get it down, I think it'll be easy.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
How do you feel about paper straws? I mean,
Okay.
obviously that's waste, first of all, so I'm sure you're against it, but like, I don't like the taste.
Yeah, it's so soggy. I don't use it.
Yeah.
Although, like, surprisingly, when I go to certain restaurants, they'll have some really high quality paper straws. I'm like, oh, this is great.
Really? I've never tried that.
Yeah.
Every time I get a paper straw, it's just terrible.
Yeah.
And
not great.
I know my brother has like a glass straw.
I like those.
You like those?
Yeah.
Do you prefer those over metal or?
I do. It's glass, so then I don't carry it around.
Yeah. It's probably really fragile. And is your metal one like compact? It can get compact.
No, but I know what you're talking about. But mine isn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's just one long
Yeah.
piece. Okay.
I have it if you want me to show
yeah.
you. Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Do you have your cutlery and all that
Yeah,
too?
it's right here.
Wow.
I don't know where my chopsticks went, but yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. And I use it at work every day. That's one thing that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm being a good human being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Cool. I really appreciate you telling me more of how to live a sustainable life. Like I really, that's something I really need to work on myself. What's next for you and Embrace Less Waste?
What's next? I think I'm gonna stabilize, meaning I want to continue what I'm doing. I don't have any big plans in terms of like building an empire or starting a business anytime soon. But yeah, I think just continue what I'm doing, meeting more people in the community and helping others who are not in the community enter the community in whatever way possible. So
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And for people that want to follow you, where should they follow you?
yeah, Embrace Less Waste. Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Same embracelesswaste.com as well? Okay.
Really easy.
And they can find like your blogs, your the items that you're suggesting and all of that?
Yeah, I have a store on there. So, I mean, it's an Amazon affiliate link store,
Okay.
but yeah, everything that I use is on there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ben, for coming.
Thank you. This is so fun.
Yeah. Cool.
Awesome.